Good morning, YouTubers. T-Square with T-Square Talk. Have I got a treat for you today? So it is Saturday morning. Because I messed up last week, I was supposed to do a video on Friday where I was going to read all of the Thursday comments and questions, and I failed to do it. And so I kind of felt bad. So I said, I'm going to do that video on Saturday, which is today. And then, just to make sure everybody got their questions and comment answered, I'm also going to do a video tomorrow morning with all of the Friday questions that we had seen. So that will kind of answer a lot of questions. Regularly, every Thursday video, usually on Friday, I will answer all them questions from the Thursday video. I just forgot on Friday. I forgot it was even Friday. I did the video. There was a lot of excitement last week going on with precious metals and some crazy stuff even happening Friday, which kind of was nuts. It was a crazy day yesterday, seeing the price drop all the way $3, closing out the day with a 5% drop. I think that was a good sign, though, that they're trying to beat the price down, and they're not really having as much luck for the amount of short positions that got taken out. It was obscene yesterday what happened. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how next week plays out. I would not be surprised to see maybe a little bit of the dip continue on Sunday night. And I think next week's going to be an exciting. I don't think they can keep the price down in the low 50s for too long. I really don't think they can continue it. I think they met what they accomplished their goal. Their goal, in my opinion, was to be able to trash talk silver over the weekend, and there are already a ton of articles that have came out. And I'm filming this at 10:30 at night on Friday, and there's already been a ton of articles that have came out about why gold and silver, you shouldn't invest in it. It's a bad investment. The volatility on it after the beatdown, obviously people are panicking. So they're saying basically don't get into it. I think that's a mistake. I think what's happening right now is typically what we see happening when currency crisis happen in any country. The propaganda here is alive and well. They don't want you investing in it. And even funnier, Americans on average aren't really big believers in gold and silver. You're seeing a lot of that silver now flow overseas. Do I think the big banks are already changing some of their ways? Yes. That's why we're seeing new info come out that you should have 20% in your portfolio invested in precious metals. The average person doesn't have any of their portfolio invested in precious metals. If all Americans were to come out, everybody, and do 20% of their portfolio, the prices would be off the charts. It would be insane. And so I think it's going to be interesting. With that being said, as promised, the Thursday video, I already pulled it up. That video was record high silver, silver squeeze, and spot price opportunities. We talked about how to pick up some silver at spot price, and them opportunities are still there. They're still there. I have one person willing to sell me some 10-ounce bars at just over $500 a bar. We're talking like literally, I think it was like $550, $520, something like that. So I mean, there are opportunities out there right now. Some people think this is the top, and what we saw yesterday was just scaring people. If you enjoyed today's video, please help me out hitting that thumbs up button, letting me know, yes, it's fall, bring back the videos for the weekends, and maybe we will roll them videos back out again. But for now, we're going to do a Saturday morning video today. We're going to do a Sunday morning video tomorrow. And with that being said, let's jump in and read through some of these comments. Real quick before we do, let's just take a look at what the silver price did close out at. Had silver price closing out at $51.86, which is crazy since we were all the way up to $54.48. A huge knockdown, not quite as much as we were down. Obviously, you can see the price actually went down to $50.72. It did pop back up $1 before the day closed. I think they just couldn't beat it down as much. A lot of people were buying. A lot of people were going online and buying. And here they are trying to beat the price down, but that's getting more difficult to do now. We got gold sitting at $4,250. Down a little bit, not that much when you really think about it. We were up to, let's see what we were up to. We were up to basically 43.69. So it's pretty interesting. Taking a quick look at the Bitcoin price. Bitcoin now down to 107,000. Bitcoin taking a huge hit, but not moving down out of the asset spots yet where the top 8 were. You still have Bitcoin in the 8th spot. It may still be a little bit before it falls under Meta. However, you have Amazon above it with a nice, comfortable lead over it. We have silver sitting pretty still in the 6th place spot. Right now, it's showing the price of silver at $50.62. It's showing a 5% drop yesterday. However, keep in mind, this is the futures price. The spot price is a whole lot higher than that. So technically, we should have seen silver pass Google already. But until we see that little pop back up, I would not be surprised to see silver in the 5th spot next week. And then probably have to wait a little bit before we move past Apple. And then a little bit longer to move past Microsoft. And then a good wait for NVIDIA, and it will never probably pass gold. I hate to say that like that, but gold is light years ahead. Nothing will pass gold. I find it funny, though, that the actual value of what they call digital gold, Bitcoin, is so low on the charts compared to actual gold. But obviously that comes down to the fact that there's not that much gold out there, essentially. So we'll see how that's going to play out. It's going to be interesting. Jumping in right off to the comments, right off the bat. First comment. Some of these comments, I didn't mention it in the Thursday video that I was going to do this, but those of you that follow the channel know every Thursday your comment will get read on the Friday's video. If not, I'll be doing videos over the weekend as I am now. So Pete, good morning, T. The times are changing. Yes, people are actually waking up right now to precious metals. We're seeing that wake up happen, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I think the price is going to continue to slowly work its way up with some of these dips, but that's okay seeing these dips. It's not a bad thing. Jack saying, thank you, good video. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Jack. Next one. What do you think will happen to silver price when the silver needs to meet overseas? When the silver needs are met overseas. Thank you for the video. So here's the thing. Do you really think the silver needs will be met? Right now, the only reason that we're seeing this, we're seeing a huge rush just to meet delivery. However, look how many short positions got taken out today. Tons of short positions got taken. Tons. We're talking, some people are calling that 1 billion ounces of silver. 1 billion basically got shorted over Friday. That's insane. There is no way. I would be shocked to see them numbers. I haven't seen that or confirmed that yet, but I did watch multiple videos that have said that. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions. I definitely would believe that because look at what they did. They beat the price down, and more people went in and laid claim to silver. They bought silver. How many of y'all picked up silver yesterday? I talked to a lot of people that did pick up stuff. A lot of people are still nervous, and they have that same question that you just asked. Basically, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, it's easy to say once the silver needs are met overseas, the price will come down. That's what a lot of people are thinking. But the question is, will the silver needs ever be really met? Because here's the thing. Once they're met overseas, average Americans haven't really started buying precious metals yet. it's going to be a little while before the needs are met. Right now, planes are in the sky literally bringing silver to London. Will they even have enough to meet delivery? I listened to one video yesterday actually saying that if they don't meet delivery, it will shut down the entire financial system. I don't quite believe that will happen because I remember following the nickel market. They just ended up basically non-delivery. They canceled all the trades. They rolled the clock back. It was as if that day never happened and took out big short positions, and that was the end of it. I'm not convinced they can do that this time with silver because there's too many other countries that are trying to gather up silver. We're seeing the silver price go parabolic. I seen something post from Australia that essentially the currency over there, silver just hit another all-time high. I mean, it makes sense that we're seeing silver hit all-time highs in every country just about, including the U.S. now. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But in the short run, I still think we're going to see silver continue to climb. I think it's very likely we'll be over 60 by the end of the year now. Even though my prediction for the year end was 48, I think that was incredibly low at this point. And, of course, I'm going to pick something that I think is likely because people thought I was nuts when I said 48 at the beginning of the year. Now it's looking like we could be in the 60s. So we'll see how that plays out. Dan, let's see. Hey, T. I have a bunch of painted silver. I actually read this comment, and I almost replied to it, but I didn't want to reply to it because I wanted to reply to it on the video because I wanted to talk specifically about this painted silver eagles. Are they as good as regular silver eagles? I've been saving these for my granddaughter for a couple years and have acquired a bunch of them. Thanks, T. I listen every day, and thanks for the content. Also, I have been stacking 90% heavily lately. I believe in 90%, and will keep stacking. But yes, I have a small silver stack of bars and rounds. So, first of all, just because right now they don't want 90%, there's a reason for that. They're trying to make 1,000-ounce bars and 5,000-ounce bars ready for delivery. In order to do that, they don't have time to be refining sterling silver and 90% silver. Therefore, they're slowing down on buying that for the time being. They're prioritizing. That's all they're doing. They're prioritizing the pure stuff, getting it on planes, getting it over there so they can hurry up and make delivery. If they fail delivery, you can't imagine how devastating that would be. That would be like a bank saying, we don't have your money, and, hey, you can try back again next week. It would be ugly. And so that's a huge thing. So that's what's going on. I think 90% is going to be in high demand down the road, especially as prices go up. Look at a silver quarter now. Silver quarters are up. Silver dimes are up. All that stuff is up in price. Your specific question about painted silver eagles, the reason I held off on typing an answer for this is, one, because I want to talk about it, but two, because I love painted silver eagles for two reasons. A lot of times painted silver eagles have extremely low premiums. They are viewed as damaged silver. It would be like a coal coin. So I love it when I can pick these up closer to spot, maybe $1 over spot. I think they're very pretty coins. In some cases, I do have some that looks like a 10-year-old painted them, and so I'm not very impressed with them. Usually, I either won't buy them if they're really messed up, ugly, or I will buy them and then I'll trade it off to somebody else, just because it's still silver, it's still an eagle. Some people will use I don't know if it was nail polish remover or isopropyl alcohol. I don't know if I said that right. Basically to strip the paint off of them, and then they'll kind of wipe them a little bit, kind of clean them up a little bit. I probably wouldn't do that. I generally don't like cleaning coins. I have to test a couple things. I wanted to know if you cleaned it certain ways, if it would show heavy scratching. I guess that's going to depend on how you clean it. If you take a rag to it, or if you just, some people put it in soapy water and then just blot dry it. So that's one of the things with that. It's not recommended you clean coins though. But yeah, painted silver eagles I love. I think they're real pretty designs. I've got some from I almost said that something that's a touchy subject from last month, about 20 years ago. Was it 20 years ago? No, I'm sorry, 25 years ago, in September. However, that's a touchy subject, but I have some of that from that have that design painted on them. I have some with the eagles are just painted, the standing liberties painted. A lot of cool stuff out there. So yeah, I absolutely love them. Moving on to the next one. Let's see here. Scrolling down. Let's see. Faceless Silver T and all. Good morning. Exciting times. Precious metals for sure. Many bargains are available today. I picked up quite a few silver dollars at $8.40 below melt. So I would probably say that happened to me. I picked up some beat up peace dollars and some beat up Morgans at really cheap prices over the end of last week. Well, I should say within the last couple days. So I think there's a good deal there if you can find them. You're not going to find them for $25. That would be really nice. But, I mean, look at what silver's up to, so that makes a big difference. There are a lot of deals, especially in 90% silver right now, because the people that are buying 90% silver, if they get too much in, they would just send it off. They can't do that right now. They're stuck holding it. So they're lowering the price on the buy, and they're willing to sell it to you in a lot of cases for what they'll sell it to the refinery for, because essentially they're not able to sell it to the refinery. So that's good opportunity there, and I'm not afraid to twist people's arms just a little bit to get my way on certain pricing, especially if you've got money to buy a bunch. In some cases, if you've got like $1,000 and you want to buy junk silver, they're going to help you with that. So it's going to be interesting on that, see how that plays out. If you keep your eyes open, you can find a lot of good deals on that stuff. And so I'm going to keep picking it up. John, how's it going today? Good video, T. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Drew, absolutely right, T Square. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Jamie, good morning. Hope you're having a great day. Conrad, good morning. Hope you're having a great day. Eli, let's see what Eli got here. Eli, definitely seeing more dealers offer spot price deals over the past 2 weeks. Yeah, a lot of people are selling right now, and they're kind of a little shaken. They're even dealers. They're shaken. I talked to one of my buddies, and he says, T, I'm not in the business of speculating. You might believe in silver. I might believe in silver. Let's just say, yeah, I think silver might go a little higher, but I'm not in the business of speculating. I need to hurry up, send my stuff off to the refinery, get my money back, and do the process all over again. The more silver that you can rotate each month, the better off you are. He goes, you, on the other hand, you're stacking, you're a collector, you're putting it away, you have a real job or retirement, and so, that happens, but in his case, his job is buying, selling, and profiting. So definitely seeing some good deals over the last couple weeks. Thank you so much, Eli. Knife Collector, sitting here watching the Kitco price jumped over $54. Has fell a bit, but the trend is continuing. As 90%, if you are stacking, get Kennedys. Oh, that's funny. I'm not as much of a big fan of the Kennedys. I take them, but that's probably my least favorable. I'll tell you why. But hold on. Get Kennedys. If you have a lot to sell at some point, the dealers may pay by weight, not face. Ooh, that's a good point, because I've gotten some steals paying by weight on Mercury dimes, and even the other day on Barbara dimes. Weight, not face value. And the silver loss for newer coins versus older coins is huge. So I actually did a video probably about 5 years ago where I put together a roll of Roosevelt dimes, silver dimes. Then in another see-through container, I put a roll of Mercury dimes. And then in another container, I had a roll of Barbara dimes, I think. Maybe you call it sitting. I'm not sure what they call the one before that. I actually picked up like $3 or $4 worth the other day, and he even said, he goes, "Yeah, I'll give them to you at that price," because he said they're war. There's not as much silver, and so, but I like those because collectors like those. You lose the silver value, but you gain on the collectible value. So I was definitely willing to pick them up. But you're absolutely right. That is a great point. Now, the thing about Kennedy halves, a lot of people go to the bank, they pick up $50. We know the difference between a 1964 Kennedy and a 1980 Kennedy. But the average person, it's hard for them to understand that huge price difference over the two. So that's why I'm not a big fan as much. Now, do I love Benjamins? I love Benjamins, especially even if they're the last year Benjamins, because people see a Benjamin Franklin and they automatically associate that with extremely old. Because you think of Benjamin Franklin, a founding father, way back in the day, and they see him on a coin and they just think, oh, wow. They don't think that when they see a Kennedy. They don't think that when they see a Washington quarter, because they see those basically every day. So great comment, though, I got to say, because you're absolutely right. That's a really good point to bring up. Let's see, $50 is the new floor, in my opinion. There may be dips here and there, but other than that, you better get stacking. Yeah, for a lot of people, hopefully you are picking up silver right now. The opportunity to pick up cheap silver is coming to an end. I think before you know it, we will be priced out on a lot of stuff. Gold already, for most of us, is pretty well priced out, but I think silver, for some of the big items, will definitely be priced out. Kilo bars. Think about a kilo bar now. A kilo bar is running like $1,700, really. The other day when I looked at it, which is pretty insane. 10-ounce bars, you're talking $520, $530, unless you find the right deal. I found some this week at Spot. I didn't have the money to buy them, but I'm hoping I can come back and get them by Monday. If I can put some money together, I might even call him up on Sunday before the markets open and say, hey, bro, can you meet up with me today? About 5 minutes. I just want to make you that deal on those bars and see what he says. And I'll tell him, look how far the price dropped on Friday. That plunge could continue Monday. I don't think it will, but I might say that. So who knows? Because we don't know what's going to happen. Let's be honest. Let's see. Okay, so might have a little trouble reading this one. Darn it. With 15 replies, though, I don't know what language that is. Informative video, something about Bitcoin, Ethereum, which are both getting destroyed right now. But with 15 replies on it, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, and I can see the word right there, Telegram. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's advertising something in another language. And I don't delete them comments. Hey, I'll just write thank you for watching. I hate to say that. Can I read any of them? All I see is the word Telegram come up. See someone on Telegram. Okay, we'll move on. Good morning, everybody. Great video. Awesome. Thank you so much, my friend. Western time, 54:01. Yes. So those of you that wrote Thursday, any comments on Thursday, we were up there over $54. It was pretty exciting. I was actually dancing around in front of someone on Thursday morning. I ended up going and seeing someone. They're like, dude, what are you in such a good mood for? Have you seen the markets? So yeah, I took some jokes that day for it, and then we got beat down. No one even heard from me on Friday. I wasn't out dancing on Friday, I can tell you that. But that's okay. I'm not worried about it. The deals are there. I'm in it for the long haul. We'll see what happens. Silver will never have a big pullback as long as gold continues to rise in price. I mean, I don't know if you consider 250 a big pullback. We saw 250. It was actually down $3, but I wouldn't call that big. I think we'll be right back at that $54 next week before the week's out. The answer, and keep in mind, these planes are on their way over there right now with silver. They still got to rush to make delivery. Don't think that they're not going to be paying people overtime to hurry up, get that silver in there, and melt it down into delivery bars. And they may even go deeper into their threshold, use their personal stuff, I guess you could say, to make delivery. But as long as they have silver coming in, they're not going to get overly depleted. But I think what's happening right now with them trying to beat the price down, this is sending a signal to a lot of investors: get your silver. It doesn't scare me. It only pushes me to realize what's really happening. But we'll see what happens. The answer is at least 10x in a fairly short period. Let's sit back and watch the show. Exactly. So that's what I had talked about too the other day, about the possibility of a 10x move on our silver. And if we see that, then maybe you can question, is the price too high? And by 10x, I don't mean 10x from 50 to 500. I mean 10x from 20 to 200 10x. We start getting up to 150. Here's the thing. Right now, a lot of people are selling. These are not the strong hands. We knew there would be a lot of selling around the $50 level because some people don't really believe in silver. They haven't done their homework. So they just see we had another run, and now it's going to plunge back down. And what we seen on Friday kind of gave them a little confidence that they're right. And so we could see a little more selling maybe on Sunday night, Monday. I don't think this will last because big money is buying it up. Moving on, hot-headed. Let's check this comment out here. Hold on here. Move it down a little bit. Hot-headed. The gold-silver ratio does not have to go lower. They are used for totally different things. Most of the world's silver is brought out of the ground by accident while mining other metals. Absolutely. Gold is not brought out by accident. The gold to silver ratio means less and less as time goes on. So let's see here how to take this, because you're absolutely right in a way. Anybody that knows about silver mining, gold mining, they have gold mines, and they are called gold mines. They go in there strictly to pull gold. That's their objective. Maybe you've watched the Discovery Channel Gold something, Alaskan Gold, I don't know what they call it. But when you're silver mining, you don't really see a whole lot of silver mining. A lot of silver is mined when you're mining for copper, iron, other metals, and then when they separate it out, they separate out the silver, and that silver gets sold off. But it's not the primary that they're going for. If you look at the majority of the mines around the world that are strictly silver mines, a lot of them have slowed down because they don't want to mine. Some people say because they don't want to give away their silver at the low prices. Some people say because a lot of the silver is getting harder and harder to come out of the ground, so that's why they're slowing down. Either way, you're right to a certain point, and they are used for different things. However, you can't, in my opinion, have gold go to $5,000 and expect that silver will still stay at $50. As that ratio got higher and higher, it naturally will want to come down, in my opinion. Do I still have the gold-silver ratio up? I think I do right here. Yeah. So, I mean, this is the gold-silver chart. And in the past, it's like the last 100 years, we've seen it go up and down. But we have seen it go a whole lot higher in recent years. And a lot of that has to do with the shorts, the manipulation that we're seeing. Historically speaking, some people call this the clown age, because with 125 to 1, which is what we were at not too long ago, 2020, 125 ounces of silver for every 1 ounce of gold. It's insane. And a lot of people just can't believe it. And as that spreads more, people start realizing that, and then that's it. So yeah, you're kind of right in my opinion, but I definitely think the gold-silver ratio matters. When it's 80 to 1, I think it will continue to come down. I'd like to see it come down to 40 to 1. And hopefully, maybe I may consider trading in some of my gold for silver before then, and hopefully I trade it in before we go down to 40 to 1. A lot of people say when it gets down to 40 to 1, they're going to trade their silver for gold. And that may happen, but there'll be a lot of people out there that will be looking at the silver run-up compared to gold, and they'll be like, man, I wish I had bought in silver, and they'll want to trade their gold for silver. And the people like us that are silver heavy and gold light are going to probably want to be on the opposite side of that trade. Now, what will happen in the end, who knows? I don't think gold and silver is going anywhere anytime soon, so I think the price will continue to climb. But great question, Hot-Headed. I do appreciate that. Great answer. I do appreciate that. Walks with one. I've worried anytime government wants to turn something into them, they need it more than we do. They want us in the stocks and bonds and paper assets. So, yeah, I mean, obviously government wants you to invest in paper assets, but I don't think they can stop really people from investing in physical assets, because even if they did, what would they target first? Think about this. They're going to target gold first. Why? Because they already have in the past, so they would target gold first. Then the question comes up, well, maybe they target silver this time. Do you think they're going to go kick in people's doors for a couple of Mercury dimes? I mean, first of all, I think there would be a lot of people that wouldn't make it home that night. I hate to say that like that, but I mean, look at some of the troubles that we go through for stupid stuff. Silver, I mean, I just don't see them doing anything like that. So they're not going to be able to take it from people. I think they would be better off just trying to entice people to sell it to the government. I was talking to someone about this, and I mentioned it briefly on the channel. If they came out, let's say silver price went up to $100, gold price went up to, I don't know, $5,000, and all of a sudden the government said something, hey, if you sell your silver or your gold to us, within the next 30 days, we're going to give you the cash for it, and we're going to give it to you tax-free. You literally can walk out with a government check or cash or whatever, and you don't have to pay taxes on it. How many people would turn in their gold and silver? I think there would be a lot of people that would. I mean, that's good money right there. No tax on your gains because you were smart enough to get in early. And those people, they might regret it, maybe, but there would be a lot of people that would take that money and invest it in something else that they want. But it's not just going to be gold and silver. I think we're going to see a lot of other metals go up. We are in the age of commodities. It is starting. What they call it, the mineral deposits. No, I can't remember what word they used, but more and more countries are targeting resources. So I think it's going to be a big deal, and I don't think government has to go crazy to get it from people. I think all they got to do is just pay, and it's thin air. It's paper. And there's a lot of people that are taking paper right now for 50, 52. In fact, when silver hit 54 on Thursday afternoon, I had someone sell me a bar of silver way under spot. Why? because he just wanted the money. He felt like something bad was going to happen. Was this the $3 drop? I don't think that was bad, but he don't want to tie up too much money. He bought it a long time ago, and he just said, you know what? I'm fine. $500 is a lot of money. It's a nice profit. I could use the money right now. And he sold it. So, there are opportunities out there if you look around. Think of junk versus scrap. A junkyard sells useful salvage parts in retail. Let me open that up a little bit more. A scrap yard sells recyclable trash to smelters. Junk coins have no numismatic value, but they are useful. Denominated scrap jewelry is not functional attire and is not easily assessed. So yeah, hold on. We're going to get into that one because that's a really good comment. Sterling is the last hurrah in the great buyer's market. And you can get it while you can. The bottleneck will clear before you know it. And that's exactly what I'm saying when I say pick up your junk silver at the low premiums while you can. They are still out there. In some cases, 10, 15, maybe if you're really lucky, 20% under spot. This is an opportunity of a lifetime at these prices. Could the price come down more? Yeah, but is it going to go down cheap enough to where that don't have the value? I don't think so. So I'm picking up this stuff where I can, when I can. Okay, so what you had said, though, scrap jewelry, you're absolutely right. Scrap jewelry would be like a broken necklace, maybe a broken ring, something like that. It has silver value, and that's it. And you can pick that stuff up really cheap. I actually have a friend that he buys tons of scrap jewelry at low premiums. He's sitting on a bunch of it right now. Him and his wife pull stuff out, and he sells it on eBay, the good stuff. The junk stuff he would normally send off to melt down. However, he can't melt it now. A lot of people can't melt this stuff down now. That's why the price essentially is going down on that stuff. So we'll see how that plays out. It's going to be interesting. But like you said, the bottleneck will clear up eventually before you know it. Once they make delivery, we'll see if that bottleneck continues. Delivery, we only got like 13 days before it's the end of the month, and a lot of places have to deliver. On top of that, though, remember, in about 2 weeks, we have a Fed meeting that will probably cut interest rates. That will probably propel silver and gold up even higher. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Javier, a comment. Thank you so much. Not much to comment about that, just a comment. Let's see. Calvin, this LBMA crisis is the best evidence that silver price is not set by supply and demand. Instead, it's manipulation, not being hidden anymore. LBMA could let the spot price rise more naturally to high demand and low supply. Instead, LBMA is unnaturally still trying to get silver flown in to keep the price down. And that's exactly right. I mean, instead of just letting the price go up, people are still trying to manipulate it down. Now, who's trying to manipulate it down? It could be the LBMA. It could be, some people say, the New York Stock Exchange with all the shorting and manipulations. But here's the thing. When banks start losing money, banks play a big role in silver and gold manipulation. Look what happened recently. A lot of banks are in trouble right now with huge losses that they're having to put on their books. That's why, to me, it's important to get my house in order, get what I can while I can, get my house in order, and get prepared for a huge downturn in the economy. And here's the thing. If the stock market crashes, generally gold and silver will skyrocket. Let me take a quick drink here. I appreciate that. Just took a quick minute. I'm trying to drink like 2 gallons of distilled water a day right now. So I try to, every time I get thirsty, I'm trying to drink more water. And then I'm drinking distilled water because I've been reading a lot of studies on distilled water. Even though some people say it's unhealthy for you. I mean, it's distilled water. I don't think it's unhealthy, but who knows? That's an opinion. Where were we? Yeah, so, yeah, the LBMA, you know, they're going to learn the hard way. They're going to have to let the price go up. And I think big banks know that. I think that was what this big short was for, to try to push the price down, to settle up. There's a lot of high interest rates now coming in on short positions that are being held too long, and that's what's causing a lot of chaos in the market. Okay, Drew, what people need to understand is this is not a normal bull run that will fade out. China wants to break the LBMA, absolutely, and the COMEX, and become the new center for metals. Every time they have tried the tactics of dumping paper onto the market, the price, what happened? The price has dropped and gone right back up. Right back up right off. Look at the past 6 Tuesdays. China and others have bought up every drop, then waits and stands for delivery, pulling more and more of the LBMA and COMEX volts. They have been doing this since June. I'm sorry, that's January. My bad. It was an abbreviation. Since January 24, when the Shanghai Metals Exchange opened. So, yeah, we're seeing these beatdowns have less effect on what's really going on. I think that is their objective. I think their objective is to control the world price. Will that be bad? Let me ask you that. I don't think it will be. I hate to say that. I don't think it will be, because then we'll have a fair market. If you remember what the Middle East said about the U.S. shorting oil using contracts to manipulate the oil price down, it really makes me wonder if the majority of the markets are being manipulated. And these other countries are taking advantage of that manipulation now, and specifically in the gold and the silver market, and they're preparing. And that's why I said the drop could continue on Sunday night, but there is a strong possibility when the markets open up Sunday night overseas that China is going to be buying the heck out of this cheap price, and they're going to stand for delivery, and they're going to wait and say, okay, can the COMEX, can the LBMA deliver? Because failure to deliver will make China the new metals bullion dealer, I guess you can say, the new price setters of the world. Now, the other aspect, though, is, does China want to destroy the LBMA and the COMEX right now? I actually think they want to bleed it dry first. And I think that the LBMA is making a mistake. And they're basically letting the price, they're trying to beat the price back down. That's making them lose a lot of silver instead of just letting the price go up. But if they let the price go up, the big banks are in trouble. The people that are holding the big shorts, they got to get them off their books fast. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Victor, morning, everyone. For the algorithm, thank you so much for that comment, putting that comment in just to help out the algorithm. So I appreciate that. Dr. K, man, metals are going crazy this week, even more than I have been than they have been. Silver is up to 53. Gold is up to 42.50. They probably be at 60 and 5K by the end of the year. I think that is very probable that we will see that by the end of the year. I was reading that just now, and I was like, don't say the end of the week. But yeah, by the end of the year, I think that's very probable. Those numbers are going to be passed before December. Somebody commented on that. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I think 60 is definitely going to come by the end of the year. I think 5K will definitely come by the end of the year. How much sooner? I wouldn't even be surprised to see 60 by the end of this month. And here's why I say that. When the markets open back up, China could come out off the block and start buying as much as they can, driving the price higher. The amount of short positions that got put on the market on Friday, who knows if they're going to step back and say it's still too strong to try to manipulate it down, let it go. They let it go. 12 days, 10 days, we got a Fed meeting. They're probably going to cut interest rates to help the economy. If they do that, silver and gold is going to have a shoot up. $60 by the end of the month, not unreasonable. I really think we could see it. $5K on gold by the end of the month. I don't think we'll see that. I think gold will probably go up, but I don't think it will go up as much as silver. I think the reason silver is going up so fast right now is just because of the shortage too. People are trying to get their hands on it. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Keith Barlow, I don't know if I said that right. Just to chime in on your idea that Mercury dimes are better than Roosevelts. I already know before I even read it where you're going to go. You're going to talk about the weight, I think. But hold on. I'm still going to read the whole comment. Are better than Roosevelts. Remember, when you buy face value, the older coins will weigh less as they are more worn. When we start to barter with silver, folks will have weight. We'll have to weigh the coins to determine the silver value. Ooh, so that's actually a good point that I haven't really thought of, actually. I thought you were just going to say they weigh less, and so that's why. And to a certain point, you would be right just by saying that. Right now, when I say a Mercury dime is better than a Roosevelt dime, a lot of that stems from collectible opinion. A lot of people look at the collectability of a Roosevelt dime versus a Mercury dime. If I see a Rosie dime, I can pick those up sometimes for $3. Mercury dimes, I usually see a little bit of a higher premium because of the age. Barbara dimes, which are really worn, are going to cost even more. Even when I buy bags of dimes or rolls of dimes, I know there's a significant, you get 50 Roosevelt dimes and 50 Barbara dimes, you're probably going to lose 40% of the silver on that collectability. So that's a valid point. I may even talk to my buddy. It's funny. I went and talked to him the other day, and I took all of his Mercuries. I took all of his Rosies, or not Rosies, all of his Barbaras or whatever. I keep saying Barbaras. I don't know what it is before the Mercury dime. I think it's a Barbara dime is what they call it. Some people might call it maybe a Sitting Liberty. I don't know. I'm trying to learn all these fancy collectible terms because I'm not a collector. I am a silver stacker. I like silver. And if I get something that is a collectible, I will usually trade it off to somebody. 1 dime for 2 dimes, I'll take that in a minute. And yes, that means you do end up with unfavorable silver, but it is silver at the end of the day. And what you just said, if we ever have to barter, which is one of the reasons I do like dimes over $50 or quarters, because people will accept that faster. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The weight will have a huge impact. Chris commented, very true. That's what people did when using silver coins in past centuries. So that's a good point. I've never really read much up on that, having to weigh the coin. But you're right. We look at it right now as it's a silver dime. It has a multiplier. And that multiplier, I guess, is just, it's the same for all of them. It's the same for all 3 of the dimes that we've just been talking about. However, at a certain point, they might go by weight. I know I had my lesson in weight one day when I bought a big bag of dimes from somebody, multiple rolls, and the guy looked at me and he said, I'll tell you what, he puts it on the scale, he weighs it, he said, I'll give it to you for this much. And I said, whoa. I said, how do you know what's in the bag? He said, I just weighed it. And I said, I'd prefer by face value. He goes, you're going to get a better deal if I sell it to you by the weight. And I said, me being me, not knowing. I said, no, I kind of want face. I said, can I count them first then? He goes, if you really want to, you can go down to the end of the counter and sit there and count every dime. And I said, okay. I said, but wait a minute. If I do count them and I like your price better, can I go with your price? He laughed. He said, yes. If I guarantee you my price will be better, though. And I said, why do you say that? He goes, because that much weight, a lot of those dimes are going to be older dimes. They're going to weigh less. And so each time, and when I finished counting them, it was like 36. It would have costed me 36 dimes more if I had paid it out by the dime because of the lack of weight on wear. So I got 36 dimes for free, essentially. So that was pretty cool. And he was pretty cool with me. So it was a good lesson that I did learn almost the hard way. If he had said, no, you can't, I would have still said, then I'm going to play it safe and I'm going to take it by face value. But now you're better off to get it by weight if you can. I've snagged a few tubes of 1/10 ounce silver Britannias. Vendors at the farmer's market no longer take 90%. What? Where do you live? Yeah, I'd be curious about that. Vendors not taking 90%. So I would be shocked if someone took it and now they didn't, because nothing really changed in my opinion. I remember when, even during the egg scare, a dozen eggs I could get a silver quarter for, or I could use a silver quarter for a dozen eggs. Today, I could get 2 dozen eggs for a silver quarter, maybe even 3 dozen eggs for a silver quarter right now. However, I do know that there are a lot of people that don't want it anymore because they can't sell it. But that's where the opportunity comes up. When no one else wants something and you can buy it cheap, when it has real value. It has real value. People don't recognize the value of it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. CCR song. You better learn it fast. You better learn it young, because someday never comes. Darn. I'm not sure what CCA is. CCR. Better learn it fast. Mark, I'm not sure what CCR stands for. Or it was someday you'll understand. No! I don't know what that means. I guess I'm going to have to look that up after the video. I don't really know songs. In fact, I actually asked one girl out, and I asked her out in the craziest way. She was wearing a t-shirt that said... What was the shirt? It was a band, and I didn't know it was pronounced a certain way because I'm not up on hip current event, hip stuff. I'm not a hip person. In fact, I got a football team or a basketball team one time in a drawing, and I drew it out, and I asked the guy, he goes, who'd you get? I said, UCLA? He goes, UCLA? What do you mean UCLA? I said, I don't know. It says UCLA. I don't know. Did I pronounce it right? He goes, that's UCLA. And I was like, what? I don't know. Are they any good? I felt embarrassed. And then the girl that I asked out, she was wearing a t-shirt that said, what the heck? Now it's driving me nuts, the band. And I was like, oh, you listen to such and such too? And she's like, it's not pronounced like that. But she laughed. But hey, needless to say, moving on. Let's read the next comment. One more comment. Can you imagine if silver got smacked down like it did in 1980 or 2011? There is no way this could happen again. Between other countries wanting it and manufacturing needing it, plus us stackers, it would be unattainable. There's a video for you. You're absolutely right. I may end up doing a video on that and actually show some numbers, because, I mean, for it to get smacked down like it did, I don't know really the the 1980 deal, But I've got a friend that he was buying silver and selling silver like he is today in 2011. And he told me in one day it went from 50 to 36 or 34. 34. He said it was devastating. There was people that were stuck holding a ton of silver because they didn't sell it or lock it in time. And here's the thing. If you lock it in with these refineries, they'll honor it. But if you don't lock it in, some people don't lock their stuff in until the end of the day. And some people, like me, get greedy and wouldn't lock it in, period. I told one of my buddies, I said, dude, I wouldn't lock it in. I'd wait a couple days and then send it off. That way you can make a little more money off it. He said, and if it goes down? I said, if it goes down, it's temporary. He said, but then I've got too much money tied in. If I've got to wait a week and have that money tied up, that's not good. So I think you're absolutely right. If the price got smacked down like it did in the past, that would be it. People would just go out and start buying everything up. Eli, crazy week, opens at 50.01, and then 4 days later it's 54.25, and then one day after that it's 52 or 51.85. But here's the thing, I'll take $1.85 gain for the week. That's pretty darn good in my opinion. Let's see, 35.16. At least they avoided tax on the way out and on the way back by trading gold for silver. Yeah, some people that did that, they'll trade it outright. So I was actually reading, though, something online. I don't know how true it is because I'm not a tax expert. Each person would have to do their own tax consulting with their accountant or CPA. I read something that if you exchange silver for gold, you're supposed to pay a tax on it. I don't know if that's true. But I also read something that said if you exchange 4 quarters for $1, you don't pay a tax on that. Well, I know people that trade 4 quarters for Morgan dollars all the time, or they have a Morgan dollar or a peace dollar and they would rather have the 4 quarters or the 10 dimes. I've known people that have done that. So who really understands sometimes some of this tax stuff? If you buy it, you hold it. You can't go wrong. And, I mean, that's it. Taking a quick look at the next one. But that's a good comment, Conrad. Don't think I'm saying anything bad about it. I just got to be careful. I got to walk a fine line on what I suggest people do, especially relating to taxes and stuff. I'm by no means a CPA. I don't know the tax law. I just interpret, and I will ask a professional before I make any crazy decision to sell anything. I was actually talking to a CPA about me selling my house the other day and just making sure if I do sell it, how that will affect me, and is it better I sell it now or is it better I sell it after the first of the year for different reasons. Let's see. War nickels hit $3 melt. That is crazy. Quarters are a bump away from $10. Are $41 or 41 already. Had 25 pennies in my pocket last Friday. Only 1 copper, but it was a wheat penny. The second one this year. Nickel come back to 0.056, where they've been fairly consistent since the plunge. Talk about price suppression. Yeah. So you're right. Junk silver is continuing to rise. A lot of people aren't even paying attention to that climb. Copper pennies, you're finding less and less of them out there. Rolls, less and less in the rolls. I actually bought some pennies at the bank the other day. They were customer wrap rolls, and there was some enders, wheat pennies, showing on the end. So I'm really excited to see if that is some sort of an old collection drop or what once I go through them. But I haven't gone through them yet because I ain't got time right now to be going through any of that stuff. Nickels, I had a box of nickels spill the other day, and one roll broke open, and in that roll was a silver war nickel. I actually grabbed the new wrapper, put them all back in, including the war nickel. I probably should have kept that out, but I just put it back in there for the time being until I have time to actually go through the box. Like I said, I still pick stuff up, but I don't have a lot of time right now to be going through it because I've got so many projects. In fact, my videos are probably going to be changing pretty soon where I won't be doing them on the computer. So it will look a little different for a lot of you guys as I might go back to my original podcast style using my phone. You'll see one thing. You'll just be looking at silver and you'll hear me talk. I may go back to that for a couple months. The new house that I'm going to will not put internet in for the time being because the trees have to be cut a certain way in order to get the line to it. They said we have to follow the power line. And the power lines go over trees, and there's no way to get the cable lines in there. So until I can have time to trim that stuff, which I don't have time right now to deal with it. So we'll see how that goes. Correction, nickels are actually back up to 0.058. So yeah, I've got a good amount of nickels, got a good amount of pennies. I prefer pennies because they're going to be gone pretty soon, and banks will still take them in my opinion. Stack the 90% to the rafters. Trust me, you will thank me later. I cannot agree more with that, Ben. Stack it while you can. The days of picking up cheap 90% are over, and right now with this bottleneck, you have an awesome opportunity to stack it at a low price. So this is pretty much going to conclude our Saturday video. Remember, I'm going to be back on here on Sunday doing all the comments from the Friday video because a lot of people did leave me comments. Saturday video, yeah. So we've already done the Saturday one using the Thursday video. Now I'm going to do a Sunday video where I'm going to talk about all these comments that came in on Friday. And there was a lot of excitement on Friday. So that's going to be a really interesting video. So be sure to tune in tomorrow, Sunday, for that video. A lot of people are probably off for the weekend. You have the opportunity to check that video out. And if the views come in really good on them videos, then I may come back to doing the Saturday and Sunday videos. If the videos views come in good on Saturday and not on Sunday, then that's going to push me to want to do just Saturday videos and maybe not Sunday videos for the time being. I know a lot of people have asked me to bring back my weekend videos, but I've just been so busy lately. That's why I kind of stopped. And the fact that it's hot and I have a lot of my house sectioned off. Part of it has AC. The other part is regular temperature. So I kind of don't really do the videos on the weekends right now. But now it's starting to cool off again. By next month, they're saying it's gonna drop really quick. So I'm excited about that. And that's what I've been kind of waiting for to move, because it's going to be a lot of work to move into the new property. And essentially, it's too hot to want to do it right now. So with that being said, that's going to conclude today's video. Please be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Let me know if you enjoy the Saturday and Sunday videos. If you made it to the end, tell me in the comments, I made it to the end. Great video. I'd like to see Saturday and Sunday videos come back. If I see enough people say it, it's going to let me know that I'm not doing this for nothing on the weekends. But it doesn't take a lot of people to make me want to do it. So, leave a comment, even if it's a short comment. I thank y'all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And with that being said, we're going to wrap up here. Hit that thumbs up, leave me a comment, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, 1 hour and 3 minutes. Hope you guys have a great Saturday, and I'll see you on Sunday. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.